Beer, one of the most readily available drinks all over the world. Now, the beer we drink today is a lot different than the beer was back in the day, like 6,000 years BC, when the Sumerians made their liquid bread. But how do you really make beer in your home in a somewhat simple manner? Well, we're gonna find out today. Follow me on a journey into the home brewing. The number one rule of brewing is cleanliness. Clean, 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 clean. And when you thought you're done cleaning, clean some more, because if you get some rogue bacteria or yeast or something in your brew, it will taste like, well, crap. So there is a number of different cleaning agents on the market, and this one is a sanitizer. Clean your stuff with these chemical cleaners, and then all the countertops and stuff you're using, spray it down with SaniClean or Star Sun. That kills off the bacteria. I have it here in a spray bottle for quick and easy cleaning, and you don't have to rinse it off your brewing equipment. So, rule number one, clean. Beer brewing in a post-apocalyptic wasteland would probably be made in a large stainless steel pot over an open fire, but today I'm cheating and I'm using this. This is a Grainfather, a half-automated brew kettle with one of these nice electronic thermostats and a built-in pump. And right now I'm heating water in it just to get it cleaned. I have 30 liters of water in here. I'm gonna heat to 60 degrees Celsius and then add the cleaning agent, so let's wait for that. While we are waiting for the cleaning water to heat up, we can look at the next part of the equipment that I'm using. This is a sparge water heater. It's just a fancy tea kettle, really. It keeps up to 20 liters of water warm to be used later in the brewing process. I will explain that step when we get there. The water is now 60 degrees and it's time to add the cleaning agent. You also notice that the Grainfather got a bit dressed. I forgot to put on the blood insulation to start with, but that's fixed now, so let's add some chemicals. Now this is hot. 6. There we go. Now I'm gonna add 4 tablespoons of this special cleaning powder, which would make the water a nice Chernobyl green. Perfect. Now we're gonna add this pipe. See, it's starting to go green and bubble already. This is to get, well, all the old, what do you call it? Like sedimentation and stuff from the older brews that can get stuck inside the brew kettle. There we go. Open up this valve here and start the pump. Bloop. Also start the heat, so it's already on. Now we're gonna pump this liquid around for around 15 minutes or so to clear out all the internal piping and stuff. Then we're gonna drain it, rinse it, and then we can start the brewing process. As I said before, cleaning, 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 and yet more cleaning. 15 minutes have passed, and you can see that the Grainfather now has a hat of a rather weird looks. This is a wort chiller. After the beer is boiled, we're gonna chill down the wort so we don't kill the yeast, and this also needs, you guessed it, cleaning. So I've set it to circulate for 10 minutes to clean the chiller out inside, and then hopefully we can start the brewing process. This is the fermentation vessel, but guess what? I cleansed it off camera, so you don't have to see me cleaning stuff over and over and over again. But yes, this one got the same treatment. First cleaning agents and then disinfection. Okay, enough with all this cleaning malarkey. Let's get down to business and start talking about the ingredients of beer. And the first one is this, and the most important one. Water. Clean, filtered, unchlorinated tap water in my case. The water out here is very good and suitable for ales. Now, there is a softness and a hardness to water. Here. But I have what they call it, medium hard water, and that's the same type of water used in Britain when brewing ales. So we're doing an ale today. This is more important than people think. Soft water for pilsners, lagers, stuff like that, and then the hardness and the salts in the water. The more the salts and hardness, the better it suits for ales. So we are brewing a light ale today, and then low ABV one upon that. And that's a bit special. I've never done it before, so this will be one long experiment. So, follow me on this one. The next ingredient vital to beer brewing is malt. Malt is barley corn that has been sprouted, then dried, then roasted to a certain degree, and then crushed to get all the sugars out. And because we want the sugars, because those sugars are the fermentables. They give taste and they ferment into alcohol. And this would be a very light beer. It will be around 1.5%. So it's lower ABV than most of the beers you can buy in the normal supermarket. And you could take like one type of malt and then be done with it. It would be a decent ale, but I'm going to be a bit, well, I think in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, you don't get that high quality stuff. You get what you can get your grubby hands on. So I bought 1, 2, 3, 4 types of normal malt, and then I also threw in some rye malt in the mixture. This is a mashup of epic proportions, and let's go through them all. Rye malt, not very common. I use it to get some color and some taste. It's a rather spicy malt. Light Munich malt, sweetness, caramel flavors, a bit more color than normal pale ale malt. Caramel Vienna malt, a darker malt with a bit more caramel flavor, sweetness, slightly spicy. Vienna, one of the cornerstones of making darker lagers and pilsners. And dextrin, which is, well, it's a bit unorthodox to use this high levels of dextrin because it makes better foam and it gives a better mouthfeel, and since the ABV is low, the beer can feel a bit thin. So we're using a high percentage of this dextrin malt to try and get a better mouthfeel. Next up is the hops. This is American hop pellets that's widely used. It's sort called Cascaden. We're not gonna use that one. We're gonna use this one, which is farm hops from Sweden. I have no idea how they taste. They are picked and dried just a few kilometers from where I live, and it's of the very old unrefined farm variety and the one you can find in the wild. So if you brew a beer in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, this is most likely the type of hops that you're gonna find, so I'm gonna use it. And last but not least, the yeast. As it says on the package here, this is a dry ale yeast from, I can't remember, it's one of the bigger brewers in Britain at least. This one ferments nicely and it will leave a bit of a residue sweetness to the beer, which will help with the mouthfeel and hide the fact that it's low on ABV. So, now we have all the things, it's time to start brewing. The water is at the desired temperature. We are mashing in, as it's called, mixing the water and the malt at a higher temperature to get more flavors out of the malt, but also not get as much fermentable sugars in it, so we can keep the ABV low and nice and low. And I mixed the malts beforehand, so I'm gonna pour that into the water here, give it a stir with a large spoon, and then I'll be back to you because I need both my hands. Now the malt is added, and I added a screen over here over the malt, and now we're gonna to put the lid on, put this pipe on, and recirculate the wort, which is the water that flows through the grain and picks up the sugar. So now it's time to recirculate this for, in this case, 30 minutes at 74 degrees. Since this thing is half automated, it pumps and heats. I'm just gonna leave it here for 30 minutes. Check now and then so the water circulates properly. And then it's time to boil. Alright, change of plans. This automated brewer is not made for this small quantities of malt that I'm using because I'm brewing a low ABV beer. So I have to stir it with a wooden spoon instead of using all the automated stuff, which makes it a bit more authentic, I guess. Oh well, time to stir for 30 minutes. 30 minutes are done, and I raised the malt basket, and now it's time what's called sparging. Now we're gonna take the hot water that's in here and gently pour over a few liters over the malt, so we get the last goodies out of it before it's time to boil. Nice warm water, and gently pour it over the malts. Just get out the last bit of that nice fermentable sugars. You get a little more taste to the brew. Filling up with hot water to reach the correct volume, so we reach our intended ABV. And so the wort boils. Now we'll let it boil for 40 minutes before it's time to add the first hop addition in this basket here. I managed to push the hop basket so I fell into the boiling wort. Well, this is gonna be interesting in a few minutes. I MacGyvered something together with the stuff in the kitchen. This will have to do until the brew is done. Now the wort has been boiling for 40 minutes, and it's time for the first hop addition. This is to give flavor and a bit of bitterness to the beer. There we go. And some more. There we go. This is leaf hops. There are also pellets, but these ones are, as I said before, locally made. There we go. Bit of steam. But that's around 30 grams of hops in there to start with. Now wait 5 minutes for the next addition. Not a minute left until it's time for the next addition of hops. The earlier you add hops in the brew, the more bitter it gets. The later you add the hops in the brew, the more aromatic it gets. So I'm aiming for a slew of aromatic hops here, just to try and balance out so it doesn't taste like grass or like just some bitter medicine. So I will keep on adding these hops in 5 minute intervals until the boil is done. And then it's time to cool and filter it. Now it's time to pump water through a chiller to cool down the beer to around 18 degrees before adding yeast. And I also added a filter here to my bucket so I can remove all the last pieces of hops and grains before it's going down, so the beer gets slightly clearer. As we wait for the beer to transfer into the bucket. Oh, focus. Focus. Thank you. Then we can check the sugars in the wort. And the sugars, the different... Oh, why doesn't this want to focus? Oh well. The difference between the sugars in the raw wort and the sugars in the fermented wort equals the alcoholic content. Now I can read this as a value about 1.030, and that doesn't say as much right now, but I know how much the yeast wants to ferment. It wants to ferment down to 1.016, and a quick addition in the head gives me, that would give it an alcoholic content around 1.8%. So we are spot on target for low ABV beer. I was aiming for under 2, and I'm happy. Now the beer is in the bucket, and now we have to get some air in it for the yeast to munch on. So I'm using a sanitized whisk and just whisking briskly to get some air into the wort. It foams quite a bit, but it's crucial to get good fermentation. There we go. Now time for the yeast. There we go. Just sprinkle it into wort, like so. Then we put the lid, the clean lid, with a degasser on top. Put it on the bucket. Give it a good swirl so the yeast can mix with the wort. And then we wait. And while we're waiting, we have to clean up this bloody mess. As I said, the cleaning never ends. Now, this will take around 2 to 3 weeks for it to ferment. And then we check out, do another measure, see what the alcoholic content is, and if it's good enough to bring to the LARP. I hope this have brought you a little bit of understanding how beer is made in a home kitchen, and how it can be actually made after the apocalypse with rather simple tools. Cheers!